right, everybody, please put your hands together for Michael.
Thanks, everyone. Just also wanted to say thank you very much to Diane, wherever she went. That was a beautiful story. Yeah, I'm just really happy to be here. So I had a completely different story to tell, and then I came here and heard all of your stories and remembered another story. Do you guys remember how there was a gentleman up here, I totally forget his name, and I'm very sorry, but he lost his daughter at a baseball game because he's a horrible parent? You guys remember that one? Okay. I'm just kidding. This will show you it happens to the best of us. So, yeah, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Calvin and Hobbes, the comic book character. Okay, oh, beautiful. So there was actually a comic strip where Calvin got lost at the zoo. And Calvin followed who he thought was his mother, because Calvin's this high. And so he followed, the woman in the skirt walking along and, for Lord knows how long, and then finally tugged and said, "Mom," and then realized it wasn't her. So that happened to me at the Philadelphia Zoo when I was about 5 years old. Apparently that's when these things happen. But no, we were at the petting zoo part of the zoo, which parents apparently take as you can let them go anywhere because they're just small animals and no rhinos, so whatever. Really, that's exactly what happened. I somehow got separated from my family, and my family, mind you, is not a large Catholic family. It's a very small Methodist, aka Catholic Light, family, and it was just my sister, who was 2 years older than I am, and my mother and my father. So that's a 1-to-1 ratio, parent to child. If you're doing the math, which I know we all hate doing, but they're whole numbers, so let's go with it. So 1-to-1. So you're thinking good odds, right? Apparently not for Lee Mauger, because as it was his responsibility, I somehow wandered off, assumed that my family had left me in the petting zoo area, proceeded to leave the petting zoo area and walk amongst the animals as well as the animals in the zoo. So, there I am, finally realizing that the woman whose leg I think is my mother's is not my mother. Find a security guard. I am just losing it, sobbing because I'm a giant little baby. Actually, at this time, I'm like 5 years old. So I'm sobbing. Finally, he gets it out of me. I was back at petting zoo. I go back to the petting zoo. We're all reunited. Everyone's very relieved, and all is well, and we go home, and everything's fine. 20 years later. This is literally, I think this was last summer. I'm at the dinner table. I'm introducing my girlfriend at the time to my parents for the first time. And there with me is my sister, who can help recant this story, and my father is here, and we have a new character, my stepmother. My stepmother was not there, as you can imagine. It might have been very awkward. So we we're all telling stories of, oh, hey, remember this happened, remember, like you do when you're introducing someone new into the family, or just when you're sitting around the dinner table talking about things that happened. And it came up, hey, remember that time when you lost Mike at the zoo? Hey, yeah, that was pretty funny. And it kind of occurred to me that this had never really been a topic. We like to really dive into these things that happen and really dissect them and find out why and find the funny parts. And this never really happened with this story, and I never really figured out why. And I think it was at this dinner table that I figured out that it was because I spent 5 years as a camp counselor, both as an actual kind of low-level and sleepaway camp. So I'm in a cabin with 8 children. I've spent the time as the low-level cabin counselor, as well as the assistant director of a day camp. So I have been responsible for anywhere from 8 to 200 campers going to a field trip and going to places like zoos and like amusement parks, and I have never lost one child. At that point, I was 25 years old, and the times when I was managing other people who were younger than me, they were college children, and they never lost a damn child. So we're recanting the story, and I'm thinking about it, and I'm not saying anything. People are just kind of like laughing and telling their own little parts. And meanwhile, this realization is bubbling up inside of me, and I slam up my drink on the table, and I'm like, Father, you had one job. You had one job. And reminded him that his ratio was 1-to-1. Mine at times has been anywhere from, 1 to 5 to 1 to 10, and I had a better record than he did. So I'm not saying that he's a terrible father.
Nice Michael, everybody.